Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking about the Devil card, and the deck that I'm going to be using is the Melanated Classic Tarot deck. I've been using this deck in the last couple of videos that I've been uh, presenting here on Facebook and YouTube because I really like this deck. So it's one way that I am getting associated with the cards and learning about the cards as they're presented in the Melanated Classic Tarot. Alright, so we're dealing with the Devil card here. Now the interesting thing about this Devil card is if you look here, and if you look at the male and the female, the male person here has a flame coming out of his tail, and the female has what looks like a pink lotus that is about to bloom. And to me, that represents fertilization, the male fertilizing the female. And the fact that they have chains on, loose chains rather, means that they're linked together. I don't necessarily believe they're chained to the devil, or that this is necessarily a negative thing. It just represents them being linked together. Another interesting thing about this Baphomet is this Baphomet doesn't have breasts. So technically this is a baffled man and not a Baphomet, if you want to be a stickler here. The Baphomet character here has purple wings. Purple represents royalty, and purple also represents death, or represents transformation. If you look at a lot of the older funeral processions, you would see that the hearse a lot of times has purple lights, and the reason why it has purple lights is because that's what it's associated with. Also here you have the horns, which represents duality. Usually Baphomet has a flame coming out of his head here. This one doesn't, but the flame usually represents the coming together of duality. Also here is the fact that usually Baphomet sits on top of a globe or something similar to this. It looks like here he's just sitting on top of a box. So he's more of a symbolic character, not just of his own doing. He has one hand pointed up, one hand pointed down, which represents as above, so below. And if you look very carefully here, this hand here is doing the Dr. Spock sign, which represents, live long and prosper. So this is not a negative card. At least I don't view it as a negative card. But then again, it depends on how it comes up in a tarot reading. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this card? The people in this card, if you notice, they have horns. So they're very much tied to their animal nature, not in a negative way, more of a sexual way, more of youth and the carefree lifestyle of youth. It's almost like a pan interpretation of humans, or humans that are associated with pan-like behavior, which is very sexual. So I don't see this as being negative. And if you look here carefully, the two characters have chains on them, chains that are very loose, chains that you can take off very easily. And the chains represents not bondage, it represents the two characters here being linked together in love. So like I said, this is not a negative card for me. And if you look at the hand here again, with the Baphomet character doing the Dr. Spock sign, he has a cross on his hand. That's not a Christian cross. That is a cross that represents north, south, east, and west. It represents earth, air, fire, water, along with other things. So very interesting symbology here. And everything is represented here, the elements except for water. So this has earth, air, and fire in this card. And usually Baphomet does have symbology of water. If you look carefully at a lot of Baphomet imagery, this part right here has scales, but unfortunately in this card it doesn't have scales. So I don't see water as being prevalent in this card. But it's still a good card. I still enjoy this deck. I highly recommend anyone who is interested in the Melanated Classic Tarot to go out and get this deck. Alright, so that's my interpretation of the Devil card. Until next time, live long and prosper, and peace as always.